Hi, everybody. Just wanted to maybe have a quick media availability press conference to talk about something that the Republican GOP has been working on. Goes back almost a year, I think, when we first started discussing the idea of going out on the road throughout the state and once again kind of touching base with not only the public, but I think more specifically those directly affected by those that are part of the business community. Can be light manufacturing, can be agriculture, certainly the tourism industry, any different sector that might be directly affected on things that we do here in the legislature through legislation or through some of the rulemaking that happens with departments. So Senator Gudex, Senator Darling, Senator Harsdorf came to me about a month ago with kind of a plan to execute that. And we just wanted to kind of lay that out for you today and talk a little bit about our priorities. And with that, I'll turn it over to Senator Gudex. So, Rick.
Thank you, Senator. Well, welcome here today, and thanks for being here. As chairman of the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Commerce, one of the things that we wanted to do is we want to get out of the Madison bubble, get out into Wisconsin and find out from the people who are the real players in economic development what we here in the state legislature are doing correctly, what we can do to enhance economic development throughout the state of Wisconsin. So we're looking forward to hearing from business leaders, Association of Commerce. We're looking to hear from people from the education field and the people that just do it every day. So we're really going on a fact-finding mission to make economic development here in the state of Wisconsin better than it is today. And our goal is to take testimony from invited guests as we go through and take those things back here to the legislature, and hopefully we'll be able to prepare some pieces of legislation that will enhance and help economic development here in the state of Wisconsin. I can announce to you at this time that we do have 5 locations that we are going to be going to. They are MATC Oak Creek Campus, Thursday, October 24th. The Nicolet Technical College in Rhinelander on Monday, October 4th. Fox Valley Technical College in Appleton, Thursday, October 8th. Dunn County Judicial Center in Menominee on Monday, October 12th. And the University of Platteville on Monday, October 26th. So we as a committee are excited to go out there, hear from the real shakers and movers here in economic development, and look forward to hearing some good things that we can take back. So having said that, I want to introduce at this time the co-chair of Finance, Senator Alberta Darling.
Thank you, Senator Gudex. And I want to recognize Senator Gudex as our main leader on economic development. And so I congratulate him on putting this idea together with us and going forward to grow the economy, jobs, and have more skilled workers. You know, we're not the job creators. As Senator Gudex mentioned, we're going to go and talk to the job creators, but we have a lot to do with the environment, the climate for creating jobs, like taxes, regulations, incentives, disincentives, education, workforce development. There's a lot we do have to do with creating jobs. That is not just creating the job itself. And what I've been hearing a lot from my job creators in my area is that they have a big workforce shortage. And we're going to be asking our job creators how serious it is and where it is most significantly. And we're going to look at where we can target job creation through workforce development, skill development. And you're going to see us working very seriously with the job creators to come up with proposals that actually work. Because we want to make Wisconsin one of the best places to live, work, and play. And while there are a lot of good things going on in Wisconsin, we need to build more. We need to have more entrepreneurs. And I'll just give you one example. In my district, there's a great opportunity for us to work with UWM and the projects that they have in the community with Johnson Control and GE and others to work on water, to work on entrepreneurism and other job creation ideas. So just in my one district, there are a lot of ideas that we can put on the table and have legislators start debate whether we need to invest in those initiatives or not. But we're looking forward to hearing from everyone around the state. We hope while we're doing this that this will be bipartisan, that Democrats will join us as well, and that we will talk to our chambers and our job creators and our educators and our tech schools and our workforce development experts to draw together in a bipartisan way. So I look forward to this initiative. Thank Senator Gudix for putting this as a centerpiece of his committee for the next several months. So thank you, Rick. I'd like to introduce Senator Harsdorf, who's been working on this as well.
Thank you, Senator. Well, I want to applaud Senator Gudix's leadership. Obviously, this is something that has been a top priority of the legislature over the last several years, and this builds on the reforms that we put in place and the changes that we put in place to continue to build a positive business climate in our state. I represent a district right next to the state of Minnesota, and so there's a lot of competition, and we want to continue. We've got great opportunities in northwest Wisconsin, and we want to build on those. We're seeing a lot of interest from businesses even in Minnesota wanting to relocate, and because of our environment that we've created here in Wisconsin. So it's one of the things that is so very important is we need to hear. This is going to provide us with the opportunity to hear directly from those who are creating the jobs. And I think it's important for us to recognize not only what we can do to create a better business climate and encourage additional job growth, but also what we're doing well so that we continue to build on those positive attributes of our state. And so I'm looking forward to the public input. As I travel the district, it's something that is so very important for us to hear, and holding these 5 hearings around the state is going to provide us, I think, with a great ability to understand what we need. The issues might be different in different parts of the state, but it will allow us to hear directly from those what we can do better and what we want to continue to build on. So now I'm happy to. Did you want to make any comments, Senator?
Yes, thank you. I represent a very rural part of our state, southwest Wisconsin, and economic development is the key to our survival out there in our small communities, our small schools. You know, this Friday, our schools are going to be doing their membership counts, upon which largely their budget is based. And jobs, you know, in our communities are just vital to our continued success in those small communities. Today, we just passed legislation out of the Senate that affects Village of Cassville. Cassville is losing 2 power plants this year and losing a lot of very good, high-paying jobs in that community. And again, there's just one very real example for me of the importance of economic development. And I've been very involved with economic development since I was a 23-year-old CPA in Dodgeville, many years ago. And again, I applaud Senator Gudix's leadership on this, and he'll be visiting, committee will be visiting my district at UW-Platteville next month, and I look forward to his visit. So, thank you.
Any questions?
Well, Senator, you're talking about getting something Madison Bowl, but none of you are from Madison. Can't you guys talk to people in your districts just in the course of your being a lawmaker and do the same thing? What's different about this?
Well, I think one of the differences in doing this 5-stop tour around the state is that we're going to be able to hear region by region exactly what's going on. We as legislators often don't get the chance to hear from everybody and give them the opportunity, not always, to express their views. And here we're going to have an open forum, with invited guests that will be able to tell us region by region what's working, what's not working. So, I really think there's going to be a lot of value in what we're trying to do here. And certainly I look forward to that.
If I could add to that, I live 4 hours from here. It's very, very difficult for business owners to travel 8 hours to come down and testify here in Madison, because, and so this is going to provide business leaders and economic development folks from around the state, like the senator said, from different regions to speak to us directly.
So this worker shortage, for instance, that Senator Garland referred to, is this kind of synonymous with the skills gap that we talked about a few years ago?
It is part of it, yes. But when I talk to many of my business owners, especially small business owners, they will say 2 things. They can't find the skilled labor, and 2, they find there are disincentives that we put on the table for people going into the workforce. It's hard to get people who have government benefits, for instance, who might be qualified for the jobs, to talk them into coming to work, because the individual might say, you know what, I earn up to X number of dollars with my benefits from the state, and what's the incentive for me to go out and actually work? So a lot of people are telling us we have a skills gap, but we also have an issue of our putting disincentives on the table for people going back to work. And I think we have to look at all of the above. But the skills development part is significant, because we invest over half of our budget on education, if you consider K-12, higher ed, and tech. And we need to get better lineup of that education with the real world of work. So we can learn a lot from those employers, and we can learn a lot from our educators about how we're going to make those connections, not only now, but in the future.
Are we talking about cutting the public benefits? You want to cut unemployment?
We're not talking about cutting the benefits.
We're
We're
talking about the incentive. This isn't to go back to work, so what would you reduce?
What we would do is have incentives for work and to make work pay. And one thing I would like to do, I'll just put on the table, maybe this isn't something everybody will support me on, I think we should ask the federal government for a waiver to have a sliding scale, so that when one is in the work and being employed and in a job, that they're not going to say I can only work X number of hours or I will lose X number of benefits. I think it'd be up to us to ask the federal government, look, we need flexibility, a sliding scale to help ease people into the real world of work and not be afraid that they're not going to be able to afford their families and put food on the table. And I think for some people, that's going to be a gradual thing. And so some of our employers will say there are disincentives for their possible workers to get them to come to work.
Senator Fitzgerald, given that UW researchers use some tissue from newly aborted fetuses, should some of that research be criminalized?
I guess the press conference on the economic development tour is over. No, I mean, you know, it's obviously a very difficult issue that's been brought to the forefront by the videos that were recently released, but we're working with the Assembly and with certain caucus members to try and develop a strategy where eventually we can have agreement with the Houses and with Governor Walker on what exactly he is looking for in a piece of legislation. So, I mean, I predicted yesterday that we will take action on the bill. We just don't know exactly where we're at right now as far as what that does. So,
I mean, there is an economic component to this. Do you support the bill as it came out of the Assembly Committee?
yeah, it's not important, I think, right now what I support. I think it's kind of what you can get the caucus to ultimately rally around, and we just haven't gotten into those discussions. We have caucus tomorrow, will be the first time we kind of even have been in the same room together to have even an in-depth discussion about any of those items. So, so we'll see where we're at maybe after tomorrow and see how people feel about it. It seems like a video is released on a daily basis at this point, and it certainly continues to drive the discussion, obviously not just in Wisconsin, but nationwide, so.
Do WMC's concerns about the current bill, I mean, does that kind of spur the discussion? How important is that to going forward with this?
Yeah, I think more so in that, you know, WMC weighing in on the issue was something that I think that I've had more discussion about. It's, you know, no one really knew or expected that, I think, and when they did, certainly it's something I think many members will take into account from the perspective of you have some obviously organizations that otherwise may not be involved in that type of issue. So in what's considered by many members as a pro-life issue. So.
Senator Fitzgerald, your office told the State Journal yesterday that you could consider a Democratic proposal to overhaul WEDIC if Representative Barca and Senator Lasso were not on the board.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate on that?
That was tongue in cheek.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of taking a shot. I talked to Senator Lasso about it. She thought it was cute. But certainly I think, you know, what we've realized is that WEDC is having great successes at the local level, and all I have to do is look into my own Senate seat and see certainly that there's a number of corporations that are either located or expanding within my Senate seat as a result of work that was done by WEDC. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm oblivious to all the issues that have existed really since the conception of the corporation at the top level, and the way it's been organized and the way it's handled some of those loan programs. But I think overall, we have to be very careful about pulling the rug out from under something that still is generating a lot of good successes, and there's a lot of good, hardworking people, both at the local level that interact with WEDC, and people that represent those regions on behalf of WEDC that are doing a lot of good work and making sure that these corporations stay in Wisconsin.
And this
So.
tour will give us an opportunity, if I may,
Yeah.
to talk with businesses and get their feedback on the effectiveness of WEDC, what they do well and what they would change. I think it'll give us a really good opportunity to find out how it actually works. Because as Senator Fitzgerald has mentioned, he has a lot of good examples of success in his district. I hear that from all over the state, and then I hear that there are a lot of issues we have to address. So it'll give us a really good format to debate all that and talk about it, and give us ideas of what can be improved.
Are you gonna have the same panel members at every one of the hearings? Is it a set group of people that are going out across the state, or is it gonna be different by region?
It's a standing committee.
It's a standing committee, we'll have the standing committee there, and we'll be inviting people from that area with similar backgrounds. They won't be the same people. We're certainly hoping to get different people at those meetings. If they choose to attend more than one, they're more than welcome, but we really want to get a cross-section of what's happening regionally here in Wisconsin. We would hate to hear from the same people at those meetings that represent only one segment of Wisconsin. So we're really hoping for a cross-section of ideas. And again, it's going to be something that we're really going to, take to heart. We're going to hear some things that are working well, but we also want to hear the things that they feel are an impediment to job creation and economic development here in the state. And those are the things we're going to want to work on. So,
Will Democratic members of the committee be allowed to invite people?
absolutely,
Testimony.
absolutely.
Will you start every meeting with invited guests and then open it up to people who have come?
Right now, the meetings are planned to be invited guests only. We're planning on, 2 to 3 hours, and that'll be the end of the session. We understand that these folks that are coming have jobs outside of testifying for our committee, so we're going to be time sensitive as well. So we hope to keep the focus on economic development within that region.
Senator Gudex, are you running for re-election? Can you respond to Mark Harris announcing today that he's running against you?
Welcome, Mark Harris. That's all I've got to say. Yeah.
And you're in the race as well?
Yeah, we're deciding on that right now. That's a fair statement.
Senator Fitzgerald, can you update us on GAB? Are you going to recommend your caucus the old model of elections and ethics boards, please, sir?
Been going back and forth with the Assembly for some time on kind of what that should look like, and have certainly, I think, some different thoughts within the caucus. My personal preference is to go back to kind of the balanced approach that we had in the previous elections board, and then with a separate ethics board as well. It's there seems to be a lot of agreement between the Assembly and the Senate kind of below that organizational level. It's just kind of trying to figure out exactly how we want to put that together. Some of the offerings have included some of the judges, not necessarily those that are currently serving on the GAB board, but an appointment that would include a judge. Others want to make sure that the clerks that kind of do the heavy lifting related to elections are part of that makeup. And then simply partisan appointments. That was something that, quite honestly, I thought that balance really worked well. If something was really egregious, it always rose to the level of the members of the old elections board kind of taking that seriously. So, but there's definitely an effort to try and get something together this fall, and we'll kind of see if we can work that out again with the Assembly and with the governor.
And there is consensus between Assembly and Senate leaders on two separate boards then? One elections, campaign finance, and the other on ethics?
No, that might be a little strong. I mean, it's more of a discussion back and forth. We're trying to come up with, and we have been for some time, trying to come up with something that that we think will make sense to not only the caucus members, but just in general, the governor's office, because they've got a stake in this too, and they've been involved in kind of back and forth discussions on what it should look like.
Would you start at January 1?
I haven't made that. I don't think we made that decision. Yeah.
When the old elections board threw that Monkey Ridge and Mark Green's campaign, did that seem like it was working well at that time?
I vaguely remember kind of what happened to Mark Green when he was running for governor. I think it had something to do with his congressional funds. But I don't have any strong opinion about that, I guess.
Thank
I
you,
don't remember
guys.
the details,
Thank
so,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.